What I mean. So either Parliament didn't make a budget and you're going to start lobbying and maybe advocating for it, maybe it will take a year or two. But then while you wait for it, can you also go to City Hall? Can you go to the division and make sure that some of those basic things are done? The roads, are the roads being improved upon? Are they being maintained? Because you see some of those roads in the slums now are going to be gravel roads. And if you ignore them for one season, one rainy season, then they become impassable. So once you do that, these youths who are in the places that are higher end, that have been expensive, will easily go to those. And the whole process just keeps going. Ideally, somehow you'll find other people living at the lower end saying, you know, let me leave this. I have my piece of land, where can I say? Bunamwaya maybe. And maybe it's, or I could buy some land there because it's cheaper than Makindye East, and you'll get a buyer for it. Willing buyer, willing seller, you know what I mean? Other than that, increase the amenities in the places, the lower end part, and then you'll get people moving there, the ones who can't afford the higher end. It's very hard to find someone in a shack. I mean, basically now, what did you call them? Should we say a shack? Yeah, at the Tankil of Muyenga. That's very hard.
It's a makeshift shelter.
Okay, a makeshift shelter will not be at the Tank Hill. No, that won't be. So Makindye East is a bit of a high-end place. So the lowest you'll find is probably there'll be maybe bricks, but then there won't be clay bricks, you know.
You know, it's very difficult to have a neighbor that is eating very nice food on Christmas Day and you have no lunch, not even beans, just no lunch. So that might result into crime from what I'm thinking, you know, my perspective.
True.
What plan then would you have to be able to bridge the gap between these wealthy people and the people looking on from the sidelines who actually feel like this is our home?
Right, so the thing is, you won't really have that neighbor because, as I said, the division is not, you know, you don't have the rich person here, or the well-to-do, and then the one who's really starving right next to them. Those people usually go into a particular area, so they form these slums, and those are slums where people, you'll even find some, yes, I get what you mean, there are some that are close by, like you'll get a place like Kataba. It's not really a slum, but it was also going down, only that lately KCCA has tarmacked the road and somehow improved the services. This is within Kabalagala, the deeper part that people don't usually see because, you know, they just usually drive around Kabalagala. So that's why I said you could go into these places, improve upon them. When you do, there'll be many things. The restaurants will also start booming in there. Okay. Because at times people could go there, you'll find people selling milk, selling whatever. Shops will go up. You know, when you tarmac some of these things, you start finding people setting up shops there. So at least you help, that somehow increases the livelihood of people, but you're not going to really go and put money into people's pockets. So the only thing you can do is try to set up that. There are markets within those places, the market areas. Could you go in and try to make sure that maybe KCCA works on those markets? And they don't have to be high-end?
Different people, different residents are not just from Makindye East, but rather anywhere else where there are foreigners coming in. Yeah. They have got different sentiments, you know, about that development. So I actually saw a very funny comment where someone said, they no longer allow us to marry their women, so why are they here? They should just return home, you know. At least if you could just let us marry a beautiful woman, and welcome you, you know, warmly. So that sounds a bit stubborn and funny, you know, but there is emotion behind it. Yes. So do you see the issue of these people that have come, I don't know, what are they now? Are they settlers? Are they still foreigners? Yes. What are they? And do you see that issue creating a divide or a rift within the host community?
Right, so some are settlers, some are here temporarily while they process their paperwork to go maybe Canada or some other country, the UK or the USA. Okay. The issue about marrying their sisters or daughters, that one is not for the MP. It's really a personal thing. I get to know that these people complain that, you know what, they actually hit on our sisters, but then the reverse, it doesn't work. Now, that's really entirely up to them. It's more like saying if they came in and they were of the Muslim sect maybe, and they don't allow you to copulate or, you know, just get with someone who's not that, you cannot force them, you see? Yeah, because there now you're infringing on human rights. So if I came and hit on you and you said no, for whatever reason, it could be cultural, it could be whatever, it could just be your choice that you want a man who's 7 foot tall and I'm not that. That's really up to you. So that's not for the Member of Parliament to do.
Okay.
Member of Parliament is just supposed to make sure that the people are happy, they're secure. When it rains at 2 a.m., you're not really getting up to make sure you get all your beddings out or whatever it is. Yeah, things like that. Yeah. And so,
still in the housing and the settlement, what solution is there for people who feel or have actually been pushed out completely, have had to shift to live in Mukono, for example?
We haven't really had people in Makindye East who are pushed out. As I said, it's usually a case of willing buyer, willing seller. Maybe what you might be talking about is people who settle, say, on the wetland. Now that's an issue. That's an issue with NEMA. So the MP ideally, unless I'm just trying to be populist, shouldn't be the one trying to get that. However, there are places where, as I said, so at times it starts off, you settle, you form a slum, and then people start now expanding with years, 5 years, 10, and then that's when they start going into the wetlands. So those ideally should come back to this other part. Now that part should be okay, the one that's not the wetland. Just make sure the services are there. Garbage collection, it shouldn't be that as soon as you enter this zone, you find a pile of garbage. You
understand that population grows and people produce.
Yes.
Yeah, out there have children, the children grow, and in a slum there is almost no likelihood of education and growing and leaving the country and going to, further places. So what are you saying exactly? Do they grow from the slum to join the then urban part of Makindye East? What happens when the slum bursts with numbers of people?
Good question. So ideally, people keep moving on. You look for greener pastures, as I said, when you're squeezed. Now, the questions you're asking become a national thing, which is one of the reasons. When you're going to legislate, you're not only passing laws for your constituency. So you could pass those for Kampala as a whole, and then that's when you come in and start talking about which I've heard there's been a buzz going on around low-cost housing. So that's the thing. Now for that one, it's what you're passing. Who is going to be doing the low-cost housing? Where are we getting the financing from? Are we going to get it from the World Bank? Are we getting it from the Africa Development Bank? Are we getting it as the government of Uganda or as private individuals backed by the government of Uganda? So that's talk for another day. But I do get what you're saying, and my sentiment for that is then we can push for low-cost housing. Though that one, in my experience, is something that takes maybe 2 to 5 years. You have to sit down, do a feasibility study, do an environmental and social impact assessment, then, plan out the whole thing, look for investors, and then give it maybe 1 or 2 years for the development.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There is a high unemployment rate scattered throughout Uganda, not just Makindye East, but we are looking at your people that you're seeking to represent. Yeah. So in that case, we have a lot of universities, we have high institutions of learning, churning out people that come with a lot of zeal, but then they have nowhere to take that. So you have like idle corners, you have youth unemployment. So what is your plan? If they send you to Parliament, what exactly are you going to do for unemployment in that region? Yeah,
now for that one, well, there are two things, but I think the greater one, which is for Uganda as a whole, is what helps. You have to push for maybe industrialization as a whole for Uganda, and then hopefully you'll also get some people within Makindye East going in there, because at times when you do this industrialization, it's going to go to places like Mbale first, Kapeka and all that, and they'll give priority to people who live around those areas. But then the other could be that when we have projects going on within Makindye East, can you give priority for, say, the skilled level, up to whatever level, to people who stay within Makindye East? Because ideally you're also trying to cut out on time, the commute time and everything. So how do you make sure there are projects? KCCA, I think, last worked on Kabalagala market around 1995. That's now 30 years, you see. You still have so many markets. We have Namuongo, you have Bunga, you have Gaba, you have actually so many. Almost every parish has a market. And then some of them are really non-existent. Okay, well, they're there, but you wouldn't even call it a market. So can we maybe put focus on that? And then when those markets are coming up, of course, you will need manpower to put them up. So those are immediate jobs coming up. Same as roads, as you're fixing them, can you get, some of the different skills from Makindye East for the roads within Makindye East? Because there are some roads that I know are going to come up right now. Right now, there's at least that one from Muyenga going via IHK, the hospital. But there will be more coming up. So with those, are you going to use the locals, or you're going to get people from maybe Luzira as an example? It's the same for the hospitals, all that. Now, the other thing is when you fix these markets, you remember Uganda is one of the most enterprising countries in the world at the moment, right? So ideally, people then will have places where they can start their own businesses. That's while you push the greater thing, the industrialization, which, as I said, to be honest, does not happen in 1 or 2 years, So just like Rome wasn't built in a day, or whatever it is. So you have to know that while you're doing that, that's the long-term measure, but you also have the short-term, pretty much immediate, or let's say short and mid-term.
Okay.
Yeah, those are things what I'm saying, push for services to get to the people. As those services are being delivered, those are jobs themselves being delivered. And when those services are delivered, the more hospitals, the more you can get medics, people who have done medicine or nursing within Makindye East to fill those. As you're doing the roads, yes, there is that, but then also, as in there are people who can come to fix the roads. And then there are markets, as you do them, there are people who can come not only to fix the markets, but later to fill up those spaces for their businesses. These businesses, in the end, it works out because then KCC can come and it collects its rent and gets money back.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So if you are just joining us, you are watching NTV Election Session, and we are talking to Paul Nicholas Sekajugo. He is contesting for Makindye East Member of Parliament. He's coming in as an independent, and he's talking about the ideas that he has in his mind when it comes to solving challenges that are facing especially young people in Makindye East. But I have a very important question for you.
Sure.
Or interesting question. Shape it, think about it the way you want. But this is a question where we earlier mentioned that Makindye East has a revolving door when it comes to its members of parliament.
Yes.
So you have interesting ideas, but then you must understand that you're not even the last person to decide what happens in this country. So you're an MP of an area that is so demanding, and people are hungry. They actually chose you among several people. So what goes through your mind when you think about the pressure behind you to deliver, and then the frustration you're going to face most definitely when it comes to passing some of these legislations?
Right. As with everything, there's always a bit of frustration, but we shouldn't say most definitely, because if you expect a lot, you'll get a lot.
Oh no,
but if
it's expectations from your electorate.
Yeah,
they expect you to deliver, most definitely.
About 10 years ago, we had a Lord Councillor known as Ian Clark, who did a very good job. I'd like to think that also it helped, maybe whoever was MP by then made sure that the funds came through, money was released. I wouldn't put it entirely on the MP, but I'm saying as the Lord Councillor, he did his work. And where he found frustrations, say a machine broke down, and instead of, going to buy the part directly from Kenya and bringing it, he had to go through the bureaucracy of the system, which is normal. You have to go have it identified, advertise for someone to supply it, give them 30 days, then you go through, for the bid deadline, then you have the review phase, and then you award the contract, then you give them a month or 2. So something that you would have fixed in about 4 days or 3 takes 4 months or 5. Now the thing is, he would actually come back and communicate.
Oh.
So we have a problem of so many people going into parliament, and then they forget the voter. So you don't get to find out what's actually a pressing issue. And even when you get to know, you do not communicate, because at least people can manage their expectations. If you tell them that, now we have this, say if we do it in Luganda, twadde tukakino naye tufunyemu wano obuzibu, naye kakati mtuwemu obudde bwe buti tujja kitereeza. So people can plan around that, It's really also managing expectations. There's been a road going on, roadworks within Kisugu, Namuwongo, that whole area, for 5 years. and there's been a lot of dust. And also when it rains, you know, somehow the drainage also mixes up with that water. Stormwater also mixes up with like sewage, so it spills all over. Now it's not just the businesses there, because there was noise a few months ago when some shops got flooded, people who have tiles and things like that within you know, the industrial area. But then there are people who live there, you know. These people are consuming that dust day in, day out, and it's a lot of dust if you've been on a road that's being constructed for 5 years. Why did that happen? So we had the MP, I do not know what he was doing. I mean, I haven't talked to him, so I cannot think for him, but at least he should have gone in to make sure, if you decided to take on this project, ideally you're not going to do it all at once. You know, you do not start grading and removing whatever old tarmac is there for the whole area. When you're going to do, it's going to take you 4 or 5 years to finish up what you started. Start with a small area, finish it, move to the next one, finish it, move to the next one. At least that's for a road. While you do that, then maybe you could also work on the drainage, or at least start on the drainage. Because also, again, maybe 10, 11 years ago, there was some works on this, what's it called, you know, just near Fairway Hotel and the golf course.
I remember that.
Yes, that junction. And apparently there's heavy pipes, you know, that go underneath, sewer pipes and I think drainage pipes. But these people are able to work on that within a short time and then fix that junction, all within a couple of months, maybe maximum a year. That work is very heavy. Now, if that decided, you know, undo it and then wait for 5 years to finish, that would have been a lot of commotion going on in that area. So
I gather from what you're saying that the MPs or any other leader for that matter should always give feedback to the people. What's happening? What's the progress?
First go find out, actually. Don't think for them. And then go back and make sure you are